Our next speaker is Claudio Cacciari of SURF, and his talk is entitled Sharing Data in a Multi-System, Multi-Role Environment Centered on iRODS.
Hello, I'm Claudio Cacciari, and I'm going to explain what we are doing in a project between us and a consortium in the Netherlands. So us meaning SURF. I'm a member of the organization hosting the conference here, which is a cooperative in Netherlands working for offering service for education and research and working together with most of the research institutions here in Netherlands. In particular, in this project, we are working with a consortium called Growing Up Together in Society, which investigates youth with aspects related to neuroscience and psychology, psychiatry, and sociology. I will not go into any scientific details here, but you can, if you're curious, you can go to the URL in the projects. What I will talk today here, it's more on the technical aspect of the data platform for this project. So this project, as you have seen, last 10 years, and in this year, 2024, is tasked to provide a data platform for the research. And so we have a use case, an obvious solution, a less obvious solution, more use case, and some component centered on iRODS. The use case is, from the user perspective, can be summarized in 3 steps. So the user needs to discover data through metadata, request the data that the user found, and if the request is accepted, the data are copied to a place where the user has access to, another repository, for example. So this is our probably familiar step for most of the workflow that you support. And indeed, within a single system, we know already how to implement this workflow with Yoda and iRODS. We can discover data, request, copy them, so nothing new, except that in this use case, the user has no access to the system because they are very sensitive data, and the administrator and responsible of the system does not want to give any access to the user, not even the metadata. So imagine discovering without metadata seems difficult. So we have multiple systems because it's a consortium. There are multiple repositories, multiple Yoda and iRODS in the system. And there is a portal. So the user indeed has access to the portal to search data. So again, an obvious solution is allowing the portal to know everything. You have a proxy user in the portal that accesses all the data and present the information to the user. But that's, again, not safe. The portal cannot access the data, cannot have any service account or proxy user with privilege. So we decided to implement the mechanism with kind of intermediate layer, a neutral zone, where all the actors in the system can communicate and post their message. So a kind of board where you can post your request and expose your metadata. And the other actor in the system can collect it, read it, assess it. And yeah, we call it metadata board in the architecture. We sit in the middle. Well, if you are familiar with network topology, you can call it DMZ. And it's just not about exchanging information between various systems, but it's also authorization and roles. So there are various roles involved in the workflow, starting from the user. There are service account, for example, the portal. There are data manager that need to look at the request, approve them or not. Various repository, which have service account that need to understand the request, publish the metadata, share the data. So this is how the flow appears in general, so from all the perspective. So it's more than just the 3-step of the user. You have some repository service account that need to share the metadata in advance. Then the user can discover something. Then a portal can, on behalf of the user, make requests. And then someone review the request. And then if the request is approved, some repository can really share the data this time. And finally move them or copy them somewhere where the user has access. This flow, maybe it looks familiar to you because it's what you do every time you go in an online shopping and buy stuff online, because that's exactly what you do. You discover products through metadata, you request them, putting in a cart, in a shopping cart, and then someone review your requests. Usually, if you're a credit card, it works. And then the product are shared with you. Someone move the product to your home. So that is a shopping cart model, basically. We believe this solution that we are working on in this project can be extended to multiple use cases. So we are working with in mind the general solution, not just only for this. So you see, you can break the flow in multiple steps and reassemble them in different order for different scenario. The same is for the high-level abstraction that we need in this metadata board to represent the actor. So who is a provider, what are data, what are a user or metadata, and so on. So we are creating various description, a model of the system and mapping it in this metadata board. So more in details about this component, this layer, which has a code name at the moment of Neptune, is indeed a client and a server based on FastAPI and MongoDB, and a client based on Typer, Python library. They exchange metadata using a container which we call session, which is a JSON document. It's a session because it's as a lifetime. It expires after a while. So we basically removed the issue of synchronization in this environment because we don't guarantee any synchronization of data and metadata. We delegate this to the data provider. So it's a data provider that can reissue or share, again, the data every minute, 5 minutes, an hour, a day, to keep the data fresh. We don't care. I mean, the metadata board does not care about this. It's a responsibility of who share the data. And within the JSON document, you have pointer essentially to the provider and the user in the system, which means that the metadata board has also some function as a registry. So keep a mapping of what is available in the system. And about pointer to data and metadata. I'm saying pointer because there is no real data there, only metadata. And this indeed allow you to aggregate data across different system, different repositories, so a shopping cart. It's centered on iRODS because not only iRODS is one of the repository we are working on for the data, but it's also act as a relay server in the system, because if a user just has data on his laptop or her laptop and want to share with the environment, he can upload and relay the data on iRODS, which will be connected to the whole system through a session. Of course, this implies also that also when the session expires, also the data expire. So it's ephemeral data. Again, I want to stress that this is not another repository. We are not storing data, but it's a complementary to existing tool, existing iRODS, Yoda, or whatever else other repositories. So it's complementary, a small house on a data lake, not the data lake. The code is already public on the link that you see there, very early stage. So in the coming month, we will make important change to it. I thanks the team from the Erasmus University that is one of the members of the consortium and is responsible for the data platform in the consortium. And that's all.
Any questions? We got one up here at the top. All the way to the top.
I think I like a lot the shopping cart analogy because we're thinking of doing something kind of similar for the core facilities at the UMSA. And I was wondering, when you do publish this code, do you think it's an easy deployable code for other individuals, let's say? Is it because of this composability that you were thinking of? Is that what you're going for? Like this multi-use, kind of like build it yourself, like however you want? Is that what you're going for? And
yeah.
Also, when is it coming out again? I think you said it, but I missed it.
Sorry, can you repeat?
And
that?
Also, when is it coming out?
So as I said, the code is there and you can download, test it. That's not a problem. Be aware that at the moment it's in heavy development, so maybe broken or not always working. So, but it's available, and we are trying to keep this step very decoupled. So each step that you see, sharing data or metadata, is represented with a JSON document with certain attribute metadata. So you can indeed connect this very section and JSON document quite in a flexible way. There is a client called Surfy at the moment included in the code, which facilitate some of the steps, but you can also implement your own step directly talking with the API, fast API, expose open API standard, the code, which is quite convenient. We will improve because the data platform need to be released within the project at the end of this year. So we are, well, in the next step, now you see in the code that is a monolithic project called Neptune. We will break it in client, server, and API, so it will be easier also to deploy and use it, let's say. So that's what we can expect in the coming months.
All right. Any other questions? All right. Thanks, Claudio.